spread the word. The JCPenney Friends and Family Sale is back. And this week, we're passing the savings on to you. Use your extra 30% off coupon to prep your home and style your family for Easter. That's extra savings on top of our great low prices. Plus, share your coupon with everyone you know and love. It's always better when we save together. JCPenney. Make everybody count. Offer valid 3/11 through 3/17. Exclusions apply. See store or jcp.com for details.
Share with Ole. Yeah. Which one will you do?
Of course, the Paris experience.
Yeah. How can we forget that night in Paris?
We can't. Please give us some unscheduled.
Good morning, good afternoon and good evening to everyone watching wherever you are in the world, and welcome to the magnificent 24/7 special podcast with regarding where we'll be touching upon the most recent and the very first visit of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. What a legend, his first visit to India. And our special guests today, and I'm very, very humbled and honoured to have you both on. So Tilak, the man of the moment, the one who organised it all, Namaste. Thank you for coming on. And again, Shan, nobody needs to know who you are with all your artwork and such, but thank you very much for coming on and be able to tell us your stories. And Steve, everyone knows Steve. He's making his debut on the Mag 24/7 podcast. It's fantastic to finally get you on. Welcome, Steve.
Thank you.
Hope you're all well.
Yeah, good.
And as usual, the usual suspects, my team, my panel. I've got Killian, my co-host Dazza, and as always, Benno. How are you all?
Very good, thank you, mate. Very good.
Good.
Oh, good. Buzzing, bro.
Good.
So this is a bit of a special one for us because it's an exclusive. It's something we've been very much looking forward to since we got the invite to do this podcast with Tilak. And we'll touch upon more with Tilak very, very shortly with regards to the visit. But first and foremost, obviously, Man United is a club we all support, we all adore, we all make sacrifices to support the club in any way, in different ways and shapes and forms. Some of us go to games, we stay up late to watch games. There's different ways of supporting our fantastic club, no matter what your opinions are. Currently, it's still our football club. Man United have got a massive global fan base. and that's something that's unique to us, because a global fan base means that we are a big club. We're doing things right. We're successful, and we're actually a club that everybody, doesn't matter what nationality you are, you can always relate to Manchester United, and that's the heart and soul of Man United for me. But put it into context that India alone has over 35 million fans, and that's just India.
Wow.
In comparison to Chelsea, that's 25% of their total fan base. That's absolutely incredible. So I think a lot of our fan base are a bit critical at times, but our global fan base is so critical to us as a football club. I'd just like to touch upon Tilak and Sham especially. I'd like to find out and do a bit of a deep dive on how supporting Man United from India feels like, and what sort of sacrifices you have to make, and how you feel connected to the club. Because I know you have to stay up late to watch the games, and because obviously different time zones and stuff. But how does it actually feel? What's it like to be a fan in India?
It's not just about staying up late for the games, Phil. It's also staying up late for these kind of podcasts as well, because it's 1 a.m. over here. It's just the start. It's not just the games. But no, I'll check if Shanmugh wants to go first on this one.
Yeah, sure. I mean, obviously the time zone is a big part of what we have to deal with, but sure, no one really cares about that as long as you get to watch it play. That's the number one priority on everyone's minds. I mean, ever since a young age, we've been staying up. I mean, whether that be Europa or UCL or Monday Night Football, when you have to get into work the next day, or when I was growing up, school or college. So that's obviously a big part. But we would also, even to this day, when the weekend comes about, even if I'm going outside to meet some friends or anything, either I'll not make plans during kickoff timings. I'll just stay at home. That's my first preference. If I have to go, I'll always have my phone, so I'll be that irritating guy who'll be looking at his phone constantly, streaming the game on my mobile phone. And like, others don't get it, right? Like, they'll be, I mean, what is this football club that you support? You're not even in the country. It doesn't make sense to them, but doesn't have to, right? As long as we have our community where we feel a sense of belonging, and we know that we'd sacrifice a whole lot more just to watch. So happy to do that any day of the week.
And then it's not just about. Sorry. Go ahead, Killian. I forgot about the.
Oh no! You go ahead there, Tilak. Fire ahead.
Fair enough. Thank you. No, just to add on, while the time zone is an established concept which we know is against our favor more often than not, we do get good Premier League kickoff timings on the weekends, where it's usually 7 p.m. or 8:30 p.m., which is not bad. However, the other challenges which I would like to bring out over here, something that I personally face but I've embraced, is the fact that every time we want to go and watch United play, firstly, it's not accessible to all. Secondly, one trip to the UK from India, from Mumbai, would probably cost you as much as a season ticket would, when it comes to the flights, visas, hotels, the match ticket itself. Because what happens is, you don't get access to match tickets the same way as a lot of locals would. Not because they're locals, but because they have better access and information and knowledge and circles. Like, now I know Steve, so if I ever need a ticket and I don't have one, I can always reach out to him, and likewise with everybody else. However, not everybody is as privileged to know Steve and all of you guys. So the money that goes into being able to watch your team, and then on an average, there's no statistic that can prove it, but I would be confident that every game at Old Trafford, there are at least 50 to 100 Man United fans who have traveled from India, who are visiting Old Trafford for the first time. They've never been to the club before, and it's their first time in every game. And that's obviously the global fan base of our club, which allows us to be so, if I may say, commercially successful as well. because obviously the locals more than the others, and courtesy of Steve and everybody else, are more against the current state of things, or at least just about till recently when there was a change in ownership. But yeah, so it's not just the time zones. There are a lot of other factors which need to be, I wouldn't say patronized, or we don't need to show, and nobody's obliged to say thank you, but those are massive sacrifices as well, which Man United fans here in India, I mean, different parts of Europe, it's still sort of convenient. You pack your bags, you're out on a Ryanair or an EasyJet flight. There's no Ryanair or EasyJet flying to India. And so, yeah, I'd like to add on to that point as well.
That's fantastic, Tilak, and obviously we can all relate to that. We are very privileged living in the UK and obviously being so close. And here's me moaning about a 2-hour journey at the motorway to Manchester, and you know I've got no right to after hearing that. But no, you do make a lot of sacrifices, and I kind of want to give Killian the opportunity to ask a question to both, if you don't mind. Killian, if you're happy to ask.
Yeah. I just want to start off with, obviously, first and foremost, absolute pleasure and honor to have both Tilak and Shan. It's a beautiful thing, I must say, and thank you so much for staying up this late. I actually have firsthand of, I won't say the line of work I'm in, but I deal with the majority of, I will say I work in a university, and the universities I liaise directly with are Pune, Mumbai and Bangalore, and I have first hand sort of experience with Indians, and I just want to praise Indians first and foremost as an amazing nation, amazing bunch of an amazing nationality, so friendly, so forthcoming, just like yourselves. So I just wanted to get that out. Just in terms of the time zones, so I lived in Mexico for 2 years, and my heart goes out to you. It really does, because the commitment involved to get up at different crazy times during the night. And for example, you have a really busy day the next day, you might have work, Man United don't put in the best performance, and it's just horrendous. You're tired, you're depressed the next day. So honestly, on that note, absolutely incredible commitment that overseas fans, I've had that getting up at all hours during my time in Mexico. But my question to Shan and Tilak, what does it mean for you? What does it mean to you to be a Manchester United fan? How, like, for us, I can only speak for myself. Manchester United is part of my heart, even though, as you may notice, my accent's a bit different to the other boys. So I'm from Dublin and in Republic of Ireland. But regardless of where I'm from and grew up, Manchester it's part of my heart and soul. How about yourselves? Maybe we'll go with Tilak first and then Shan.
For sure, yeah.
So I think it's about the strong sense of community for me, having been introduced to it about 2 decades ago when I was in school, and there was just some of the cooler kids who travel abroad more often than the others would talk about their summer holidays, and they would talk about they watch Man United play at Old Trafford. I'm like, okay, this sounds interesting. It's because we over here, especially back in the early 2000s, only had cricket to talk about, and then all of a sudden there's somebody else coming in and talk. So we got introduced to it slowly, to then obviously have that golden era under Sir Alex Ferguson, where we had some of the more iconic names playing with the club. But yeah, definitely for me, being a Man United fan is being a part of something which is bigger than you, but at the same time a part of you. Some of my closest friends, I mean, Steve and I know each other for a while now, but not long enough for me to tell him that, hey, I'm gonna invite you over to India, and we're gonna spend this weekend together, where it's just you, your boy Jake, Ole, and I. And well, that's how it is, because there's no reason why we shouldn't have that sort of camaraderie going between us, and then that also reflects in the stadium. And I take immense pride in the fact that I have a sort of a corner now in the TRA, at least for the last 7 or 8 games that I've attended, where I may be again, there's no like it's you or me better than you, but I'm pretty loud, and I take immense pride in the fact that there's something out there which is so far away from where I stay and where I have grown up, but at the same time, I can still call that my home. To then be able to, we'll come to that conversation later on, to try to bring it close the other way around, instead of me going to Old Trafford, or me flying from Mumbai to Manchester, trying to fly down Manchester to Mumbai, which we'll talk about, I'm sure. But yeah, what do you think, Shanmugh?
Yeah, no, and that's the first thing that came to my mind as well. Kind of agreeing with what you said, the sense of community belonging, that we get. The whole reason we are all sitting together and chatting in this room is because we support the one club that we love, right? And it's just not here, but we are like Man United. Obviously, is such a massive club. It's easy to find like United fans. City that you go to. So, I mean, no matter even if I move cities, like growing up, I switch schools, go to cities, university, work. I always find United fans that I can gel with. It's like meeting a person from your city or country, say in another country. So instantly you have because you have the same context about the last decade or 2 decades. So you're instantly on the same page, and you form a bond that lasts for like lifetimes. So that's a super integral part of why I love supporting Man United. And at this point, it's become a constant in my life. Obviously, people you grow up, but there's only a few things that remain with you for your life. That's what Manchester United has been for me, and will continue to be that way today. So that's the joy of supporting Man United, and that will be there forever.
Sorry, adding on just to the point that Shanmugh added, something that I feel very happy about is whenever I'm traveling either for work or leisure, and whether it's in India or outside, I always look out for the local supporters clubs in those cities to watch, to catch United, and it is the best. So I'm talking about Manchester United Supporters Club Miami, to Toronto, to Dubai, to Chennai, to Hyderabad, to Delhi, to Kolkata, to Pune, to everywhere else except for Mumbai. And it's incredible the kind of, I mean, obviously Mumbai is home, and Mumbai is very close to heart. And for reasons that you might know as well, Mumbai is massive. But watching United play Liverpool at kickoff in 2000 at breakfast for kickoff in 2016 in January in Miami. I mean, I don't think I'll probably be streaming or searching for links online or something like that. But here I am at a restaurant at 9 a.m. having some points with some people who I've never met before, and having the time of my life as United beat Liverpool. So yeah, I think that's something that we should all be like collectively super proud about.
Yeah, I think some of the commitments that you've outlined, both of you there, I think a lot of people don't get that. They don't see that. I think they're very blind to it. And it's kind of, I'm not saying it discredits international supporters, but it kind of gets that feeling where it's like, because I live in this country, I do more sort of thing. And I don't think people take into account the efforts that people do internationally in support of the club, the same club that we all support. It's madness in my eyes. Gideon, you got your hand up?
Just to add to the financial commitments that overseas fans give to football clubs. So obviously I deal with Indian students. Their families have to remortgage their houses, some of them, in order to go to my university in Dublin. Like the financial commitment people have to make when you exchange the currency, it's astronomical. So the respect for overseas fans has to be up there. It can't be everyone's the same, but the commitment is absolutely mind-boggling. It's incredible, and hats off.
Yeah. So I think we've got time for a couple more questions, and I know Benno's got a question to ask. Benno, do you want to take the floor?
Yeah, of course. So Now, this is going to be a bit of a crossover question here. Tilak, you brought this up a few moments ago, talking about how cricket is usually the conversation that comes up. Now, I've played cricket since the age of 10. I've got a couple of mates that live in India who have come and played over as our overseas professionals. Sadly, one of them's a Chelsea fan. But what the question I've kind of got is the likes of a Sachin Tendulkar, a Virat Kohli, they take that iconic godlike status over in India. What Man United player, past or present, kind of takes that role when it comes to the Indian community? And obviously, this goes to both of you. Who is your kind of iconic Man United player, and what are your fondest memories of that said individual?
I think if you're restricting the question only to Man United players who, past or present, who have godlike status, while it might be a slightly cliched answer, I think we all know the answer. It is Cristiano Ronaldo. We have cities down south in India, in Kerala, and we have in West Bengal, in Kolkata as well, not just south, where they have murals and they have buildings and walls, and they have the most astonishing of symbols showing their love for players. Of course, and the next name that would have come up, as Shivang also said, is David Beckham. They all epitomize what Man United means on a global level, so far away, 5,000 miles away from Manchester. And that's not restricted just to that. The craze for football in India is massive. During the World Cup, when Argentina was playing, I think in the final, and Messi has a massive following in India specifically, and he doesn't play for Man United, but obviously there are at least a million load of fans who are proactively devoting their lives and tattoos and monies and priorities to these people. It is cricket absolutely, but
yeah,
football's catching on pretty quickly, and what I'm trying to do is in similar realms of it. And yeah, Shanmugh, I'll come to my favorite player, but I think Shanmugh before that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well said, Tilak. Agreed with whatever you have to say. I was actually in Kerala. That's one place that is Kerala and Kolkata are super. There are insanely crazy fans of football over there. So I had gone to Kerala in November of 22, right just before the World Cup, and I was traveling in buses, and they would have flags of Brazil, Argentina, Portugal. Like it looked like a football infested city. Everywhere I could see like towering posters of Messi and Ronaldo. It's like on the beach and so many of them as well, like cafes fully decorated with flags, and have that match day and football World Cup atmosphere. So yeah, I mean, it's definitely growing, and especially in some of these cities. So coming to your question, Ben, so I actually started following United religiously just about more than a decade ago now. I wish I was born earlier to see the good times that you all probably have seen. But so the time I started following United, it was coming close to the end of Sir Alex's era. So the players were kind of moving on. But one guy who led us through those tough times was our captain, Wayne Rooney. That's probably a lot of people's favorite player, of course. And it's obviously difficult to choose one player from United. Like, if you look at the past, we have like the Cantonas, Keanes, Beckhams, etc. But who I personally grew up watching, it would be Wayne Rooney, because he was part of the previous era as well, and then he carried it on, and you could see he was a true example of what it meant to be a Manchester United player, especially for the new ones coming into the team. Like he gave it his all. Like, even though he was growing older, he was in his 30s, but he wouldn't stop running. Yeah, I mean, a couple of important moments, or the moments that immediately strike to me are number one, his goal against West Ham from the halfway line. I remember watching that, and I had not seen a goal like from the halfway line, the Beckham one, or any other goal growing up. So that was insane. Then the day when he actually scored the 250th goal for us in the Premier League against Stoke City, the equalizer in the dying minutes, that was a big one.
Not forgetting the City one either.
Probably not. Yeah, of course. So I mean, so over the past decade or so, we've not been super lucky to have things going our way, but there have been moments like these which kind of stick out to me, and yeah, that's what I liked about him.
Maybe that's Tilak's next project. Then is to get Wayne Rooney over to India.
Oh, for sure.
No pressure.
Before Shanmugh said that, goes without saying that guy wore his heart on his sleeve.
Yeah.
I think apart from that one blip, which is notable, at least in my memory, where his contract renewal conversations went a bit ugly. Yeah, okay, we don't talk about it. And put those things aside, he was the biggest name in world football at that time. To then be able to, win, or rather Sir Alex to win over him. I don't know how it went, but apart from that, each time he was out there, there was no bullshit. There was no BS. There was no. There was just focus. There was dedication. There was respect for the club. Not some of the stuff that we see today, at least from an outsider perspective. Of course, that's not like everybody's not like that anymore. Wayne Rooney is Manchester United, leading the club through some very tough times as well, post Sir Alex, giving it his all. And I'm not saying no to potentially do that, to potentially bring him to. It's not easy. I don't think we've started discussing Ollie's story just yet, but it's taken an absolute toll on several fronts, which I don't even think this may be a right platform about, but it's not easy. These stores are notoriously known for not working out on several levels, one including commercially. Steve knows a bit about that with my tour, as far as my tour is concerned. But yeah, I mean, here's trying to change that, and obviously when Wayne Rooney, that's a big name, but we'll come to that later. But yeah.
Well, he's unemployed at the moment, so I'm sure he's got a bit of free time if you can sort something out for him. But no, wish you all the best on that one, and great answers, appreciate it, thank you.
Cheers, Benno. We've just got one more question. I'm going to throw it over to Daz with this one. Daz, far away.
Yeah, boys. So I'm a bit of a nerdy Man United fan. I geek out on Man United, and I take real interest in what made you fall in love with Man United. I'm interested to know. I'm even interested to know with Steve, what made you fall in love with Man United? Like for myself, it was family. It was passed down for generations. We went to Old Trafford. I'm a Salford boy. Moved to Glasgow when I was a little bit older, but we used to go to Old Trafford. Generational stuff, and I'm interested to know the three of you, what made you fall in love with Man United, especially in India, because in the last 10 or 15 years the Premier League's exploded and there's factions everywhere, so you've got lots to choose from, especially when the Premier League, Chelsea have been really successful, City have been really successful latterly, although they're probably going to go on the titles taken off them, and it's just what made you fall in love with our club. Because it's our club, Tilak, Sham, Steve, Benno, all of us, it's our club. And I'm interested, as a brother of my club, what made you fall in love with our club? And that's to the three of you.
Yeah, I'll jump in there, Daz. For me, it was quite simple. There wasn't an option. It was a family thing, and you either support Man United or move out. And being 7 years old, didn't think moving out was quite the option at the time. So, but I'm probably the granddad of the room here, sort of, and listening to you guys when you started following, etc., and all the glory you've seen under Fergie. For me, I started going to games quite regularly under Ron Atkinson. And, you know, you want to talk about shite football. You know, the irony of when we used to, Always Look on the Bright Side of Life was a song we kind of sang to ourselves, being sarcastic, because, you know, you certainly came away a win. We was always a good cup team.
Yeah.
Until, you know, that's what them were the memories we had. FA Cup games. My first memory of understanding what it meant to my dad was 77, when we beat Leeds in the semi-final and then stopped Liverpool winning the treble in the final. And, you know, I was I was 8 years old, and, you know, just looking at my dad in bewilderment, like, you know, you're in tears, Dad. Are you happy or sad? You know, and it took a while for me to really get that. And I think what happens then is that that love becomes infectious, and, you know, and that's now it's exactly what I've got with my lad and taking Jake to games, etc. So it's
Brilliant.
Hopefully it'll, when grandkids come, it'll be the same for them and going with their dad. You know what I mean? So.
By the way, Steve, you've done me a solid, because I don't think I'm much younger than you. By the way, I remember and Ron Atkinson was my first manager. So yeah, I keep telling the younger boys about, you know, I remember when it was shit. By the way, I remember when it was Tara Fergie and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
What about you, Shan? What about you? What made you fall in love with our club?
Yeah, what Steve just said, right, that stuck with me. The love for the club is infectious. Growing up, so I grew up in Mumbai, actually. I moved to Bangalore just 3 years ago. But so I grew up in Mumbai in a society complex where you had a bunch of kids my age, you know, growing up, watching football, playing all sports. And I used to hang around friends who were of my elder brother's age. So they used to be 4 to 6 years elder to me. And all of them were, or most of them were, United fans. So just being around them, hanging around with them, playing football, and then talking about football and talking about the club, you know, that's when even I got so in it, as you can say so. So, and then you watch games like weekend after weekend, and then you get hooked. And next thing you know, it's been like 5-7 years, and you realize, oh, maybe I love this club. This club is for me. So that's how my journey started with Man United, and I'm glad I found the right set of people, and you know, to hang around with, and then fall in love with this club.
I think
it also becomes an obsession, I think, doesn't it?
I think
it is. It's an addiction at this point, honestly.
Oh, 100%. But I think what happens as well is no matter what age you become a fan, you then go backwards with it. And a true fan, you learn the history, you learn what happened in Munich, you know, and the rise from that, and that love and desire, it becomes tenfold, you know, and you don't even. It's it's, you know, you go back through all that and understand all that, and then, you know, it's life, isn't it? It is life.
There's always more to learn, and that's the beauty of it. And you tend to just keep falling in love with the club over and over and over again, even though the times are really hard at the moment. We've got barren times. It's still that affiliation where you can't wait to go, or you can't wait to watch them, even though it's sometimes a hard watch.
Yeah, it's an unconditional love, as Sir Matt, the legend, God rest him, said. There's nothing on earth like being a Red, and it's the truth.
Yeah,
through the good times and the bad, is the unconditional love we have for this club.
Tilak, I want to hear it. I want to know.
So a point I think that Killian mentioned was about how the Premier League is like really blown up in India. And that's a very interesting point, which explains, I'll come to myself, but before that, how are there so many Man United fans, or how is the Premier League so popular in India? And I've in fact worked very closely with some of the Premier League employees whose job it is to grow the brand, grow the league here in the Asian subcontinent. And for them, India is like the number one or number two market at the same lines as China and the United States of America. One of the main reasons is how much would you guys pay to watch United on the telly, not the streaming links and all that? If you were to get subscriptions for every game, so you spread it out across Amazon Prime and BBC and all of that, you'd end up spending, please correct me if I'm wrong, at least about 50 to 100 pounds a month on average.
Easy.
No, Tilak, you're talking
More than
200
that.
quid.
Yeah, it's more than
200
that.
quid.
200 quid, I'd say.
What you'd pay here in India to watch every Premier League game, doesn't matter what time kickoff, doesn't matter which club, you would not pay more than £2 or £3 for high resolution, real time analytics. And that's £2 or £3 is right now. If you checked it 20 years ago, I started watching United in 2003. You didn't even have to pay anything. It was practically a channel which was automatically subscribed when you'd get your television home. And then there is this one thing called Manchester United, and then there is a David Beckham in there, and then there's a Ronaldo in there, who are absolute global icons. So coming to how has the league penetrated so well in India amongst the masses, right? If the minute we bump it up to even £100 for a month, things are going to change drastically. There is a market for it, the one that I'm trying to target through these kind of events that we did with Ali, but it would change drastically. And for me, it started off as some of my closer friends who used to watch the club, and I'm like, okay, this is the school that I grew up in. For all my life, I stayed at the same school. It was very well known for playing good football. So while I wasn't personally inclined towards playing football when I got in there, obviously when you're seeing everyone talk about it and play and go out and during your breaks and everything, I started, and I was the goalkeeper for my school team as well. For my school's B team, which barely like the B teams were so bad, the ball would probably never reach the keeper anyway. But when it did, it's definitely a goal. No, the point that I'm trying to make is, so there was an idea, and then there were people talking about it. We would have the board in the classroom, the blackboard, every weekend on a Monday morning, probably we'd have the Premier League table updated over there, because there were no mobile phones and everything. And then some kids who would follow it closely, they would come back, and then if they support United and United lost that weekend, oh my God, they would be so embarrassed. I'm like, I'm still not getting this. And then I started following it to then be able to understand, okay, this is what it means and this is what it is. And I think the nail in the coffin to this, somebody described as addiction, was when my sister married my brother-in-law, obviously now my brother-in-law, who is or was, he's more into Indian football now, who was a massive diehard Man United fan. So I was still in my 7th grade or something like that when she got married. And that's when things, like, this guy had visited Old Trafford, and he was a global, a very well-traveled person who would speak of the club as, and I'm like, oh, I thought I used to support the club, which was watching it on telly. So he got me subscribed to this idea that while if you can't contribute to the club in any way, whether it is as a match-going fan or as a the club is at the end of the day has a commercial side to it. So since 2007, when I first met him, 2008 is when they got married. So it's been 2007 to 2024, about 16 years. I've held a One United membership. I actually visited Old Trafford just 10 years back for the first time. But all those years before that, even though I had no intentions of visiting, because that was my contribution to the club, that this is, okay, this, in my capacity, I can do £20. Back then, to even just be able to get a membership, like, you'd have to have a proper, you can't just have any debit card or credit card. You need to have the right manner to go about it. I think it wasn't even called One United membership back then. It was something else. But so it started off as a thing where, okay, let me learn more, to then being, to following it a bit closely. And then as Steve said, you want to learn about the club. It doesn't matter where you hop on. It's about then you wanting to, it's like when you go out with somebody, or when you decide to get married to someone, you want to know everything about them from the time when they probably remember everything about them. And you're in a committed relationship, which comes with its own set of challenges and uh, goods and bads and ups and downs and highs and lows.
Beautiful, man.
No,
Love
that's
it.
class. That's class. Right. So I think we're done with the questions now. I think we get to the juicy part. Obviously, Tilak, Steve, and obviously Shan, you're all involved. I just kind of want to just get a feel for how this Ollie visit came about, and let's to put it into context. It's his first time in India, and it was an amazing feat to pull off. And the footage and the photos we've all seen online, it looked absolutely crazy. So we just kind of want to get a feel as to how did it come about, how did it feel to be there and experience it. Obviously, Steve representing the UK fan base and what it was like to get a feel for our overseas fan base, the culture of India, and obviously the vibrant colours you obviously see over there, and the food, and just the craziness of the fans, the passion that they show. And Shan, it's your artwork for me. You've obviously got to present it to Ollie, so I kind of want to touch on an all round between the three of you how you thought the Ollie visit went and how you feel about it now, and you touch upon your experiences if you don't mind.
So, sorry, I'm going to just jump in ahead of the both of them. I've gone on this repetitive story about how I managed to bring Ollie to India, but in this case, I think it's better if I request Steve, because he was the only other person who was there that evening with me when it happened. Steve, do you want to tell us about? To be honest, I want to remember it from somebody else's perspective as well. I've not heard it from you. Go on.
Yeah, so and talk about the power of social media here. This is it's quite trippy. So I think we'd met at a couple of games prior to that. We'd met actually at a protest. It was it Nottingham Forest, and it was absolutely lashing it down.
I think it was Liverpool. It was Liverpool.
Could have been. Anyway, so I posted on just something on Twitter that I was going to this event, the Ollie in the UK. So basically what Tilak put on over there, the equivalent over in England. And Tilak just sent me a message, because they're not cheap evenings. And, is it worth it? Do you think I should? And I was like, I said, Tilak, if you ever do anything in your life, you have to go to one of these kind of shows. I'd done the Eric Cantona one a couple of years prior to that. And so anyway, they moving on. And I think it was it Wolves played the day after? So with tickets for that. So it was like a nice reunion for us. So we met for a drink beforehand. We get in there, and then we've got the meet and greet with Ollie. So I've literally just gone, pleased to meet you, Ollie. There's my 1999 Champions League shirt. He put a squiggle on it. And then Tilak's turn comes. Bearing in mind, there's probably 60, 70 people behind us. And so Tilak's like, he does the niceties. And then, Ollie, you need to come to India. And being quite persistent with it, to the point where Ollie was like, yeah, okay, well, speak to Des. But I literally had to drag Tilak away so somebody else could have a chance of speaking to him. But his enthusiasm and his determination, and I think that might have, as the evening progressed and what Tilak experienced, I can just imagine knowing him well enough that his head is going, I am doing this, and it's going to happen. And then probably about 8 months later, he contacted me and he's like, Steve, I have got something to tell you. And I was like, all right, okay. I thought, you're coming over to another game or something? Great. Well, I'll meet up again. No, he said, I've done it. We've got Ollie to India. And I'm like, what the, it was unbelievable. To
look at the beaming smile on his face. Absolutely incredible.
And that's the God's honest truth with how it all, how that seed was planted. But I was saying to the guys before you came up to like, how you did what you did in 3 cities over 3 days is an absolute, hats off to you, pal. I know it took a lot out of you, but believe me, the amount of people who've had a life-changing experience, because I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, it's not just Ollie's first time. There's certainly never been a Man United player gone over. Has there any big sports stars ever been over there and done something like this?
Massive ones, massive ones. David Beckham was here just 2 months before Ollie was here. However, they were never there, and not that it was wrong of them or anything, but they were never there in the capacity to especially be there for the fans. David Beckham is the ambassador for all the good work that happens at UNICEF, and he was here for their work in India. He was in Ahmedabad one day, and the next day he was at a cricket match, and then he was out. Wayne Rooney was here the year before that for the FIFA World Cup. He was here on the broadcasters team, interacted with a few fans at the airport. Maybe if they got lucky, there was no official meetup. Obviously, some of the local supporters clubs managed to get in touch with him. But he wasn't here for the fans. Patrice Evra was here last week or 2 weeks ago, again on a sponsor visit. There's nothing wrong with it. Don't get me wrong. However, where do the fans get a chance in something like this? The club is what it is because of the players and because of the fans. And what's happening over here right now, and it's a bit unfortunate, but that's just the way it works, especially with a club like ours, which is such a global phenomenon, where it is important to take care of the sponsors and their requirements and their responsibilities. But yeah, Steve, you're absolutely right. Ollie was the first one to come down in this capacity to purely be there for the fans. Of course, again, there were contracts in place and there were big numbers in place and 3 cities and ticketing and hotels and venues and sponsors and flights and visas and jerseys and certificates of authenticity and yeah, I mean, I have more white hair than my father does. Yeah. These last 8 months have it's been very challenging, but
and you know,
as I told all you,
sorry to like just to so you understand the enormity of all this is even the last game we went to was the Wigan game, I think. Yeah. We went to the Wigan game. We bumped into Phil as well. Yeah, Phil.
Yeah. Well, I saw you standing on them seats, Tilak. Don't worry.
But even to that point, there was like logistical issues in getting all the shirts over there, to the point where we actually, when myself and Jake went over, we took 2 huge cases. One, we just crammed all our own stuff in it. The other one had 100 Ollie 1999 shirts in there. And it's like, okay, fingers crossed we get through customs, because how the hell am I going to explain this? But, you know, and it's just, and that was just a fraction. I mean, how many shirts went over there? 1,000 in total? Yep. So, you know, it's mind-boggling. And to actually witness and see it all run as smoothly as it did, it's, you know, kudos to you, pal. It was amazing.
Answering the follow-up question, which was there with Phil about how the tour was and what Steve just said about how it went, it was an inch away from the whole thing collapsing once Ollie was here. Because what happens is, while we have certain commitments, we have certain requirements, he has certain commitments, it has to move according to that as I have envisioned it on paper. But the minute it doesn't, means there are 100 other commitments in place, which all sort of fall out in terms of the timelines. And that has other repercussions, not just commercially. And I'm talking about missing flights. I'm talking about fans saying that, oh, you know, this is the time we were told and this is what we paid and this is what we didn't get this. To Ollie saying that, you know, but he's the nicest guy. He didn't say anything. But I'm just saying that if we got anything wrong, right, we're talking about 300, 350 odd jerseys every show. And so he has to sign those many. So there's a particular way in which that jersey is supposed to be held. And then somebody else flings it across, and then the next one is in place. I think there's a video somewhere, and Ollie claims that he is the fastest signer there is. Second, probably very close only to Paul Scholes.
He is now.
Yeah, he is now for sure. So what Steve is saying, so on average, how our day went like was the first morning, let's assume these gentlemen flew in at about 4 a.m. Ollie and his friend flew in at about 9 a.m. in Bangalore. By the time you get out of the airport, the fans and interactions, and then you take the car into the city center, it's about 12 noon at the hotel. Ollie gets 4 hours to, obviously get some rest, get a meal in, room service, get some sleep. At 4 o'clock, he starts with his press commitments and all of that, and then fan interactions and influencer interactions. At 4 o'clock, he comes in to sign as well. So all of us have to have all of those things in place. 5 o'clock, the platinum ticket holders come in and there's a meet and greet. They all get exclusive time with him like they would never have otherwise gotten. Whether it's even being in the hospitality seats at Old Trafford, you'd still not get that kind of time with that kind of a person. To then get a picture with him. And then, the entire itinerary would end by around 10 p.m., 10:30 p.m., which we'll probably discuss. And then when he heads back to the room, all of us have, at least my team and I, have a lot of wrapping up to do. And then the next morning, breakfast is sent to their rooms at 6 a.m. And then we go again. We leave for the airport at 6:30. We're there for a 9 a.m. flight, reach the airport at 11. Fans over there, and then we repeat the whole thing 3 times back to back. I'm just glad it went off the way it did. Obviously, I wanted to keep in mind that Ollie doesn't feel too exhausted or tired or maybe even just flummoxed at the end of it, because there's so much happening, and he knows that the fans are coming from a good place where they love him. But at the same time, if it gets too much, over to you, Killian.
I just wanted to hop in really quick because unfortunately I have family commitments, so I have to shoot off. But first and foremost, absolute pleasure to meet you for the first time, Tilak, and same goes for yourself, my brother Shan. Just wanted to congratulate you on such an incredible feat, and as just to leave you with this quote, as the man himself said, Ollie, mountains are made to be climbed, aren't they? Tilak, you nailed it. So congrats, all respect and love, and well done. Massive. Gentlemen, I'll see you soon.
Dylan.
Take care. God bless.
Take care, bud.
Great to meet you, Kilo. See you.
All love.
Right, so I kind of want to know what Ollie's like as a person and what it was like to actually meet him. Tilak, I know you probably got a more and Steve, obviously, as well, they've got a more one-to-one time with him. But Shan got to meet one of his idols, and he not only got to meet him, he got to present his artwork. Now, if you don't know Shan, he's very modest about his artwork, but he shouldn't be. Far from it, because it's absolutely superb. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, go and follow him on his socials, because as soon as you see his artwork, and we'll flash it up very, very shortly, you'll be amazed. And you've got one hell of a talent, Shan. Trust me, you are very well respected within that field. But I'd like to get an aspect as to what it was like presenting that to Ollie and getting that opportunity, and how you felt about it, because that must have been one incredible moment for you.
Yeah, firstly, thank you so much, Phil. Thanks for the kind words. Genuinely means a lot to me. I get the love from United fans. It really makes my day. Before I get to actually about the experience of meeting Ollie, I just want to thank Tilak, and I've probably thanked him 100 times, probably, but I don't. We can really thank him for what he's pulled off, especially being the first time doing it, just based off of what you've seen in the UK. It's truly incredible. Like, hats off. I mean, so I first found Tilak on my Twitter feed. So I just saw his profile. I was wondering who this guy is, and I saw he's trying to pull something off here, and I was really hooked. And initially, when the event going to happen in December, then it got cancelled. So luckily, it got rescheduled to February, and I was like, I have to get in here. So I bought my ticket, and then I was just wondering, like, I have a month to go. Why don't I make a drawing of Ole and see if I can gift it to him or present it to him or showcase it to him at the event. So that's when I actually hit up there, seeing if it's possible to do something like that. Is it like according to the structure that they've planned for the events and such? And honestly, like, I don't know how Tilak found time to reply to everyone's DMs, but I'm so thankful that he did, not just on Twitter but on Instagram as well. So that's how it started. And Tilak, being so kind, he was like, you definitely have to do it, and on the day we'll see how to go about handing it over to him. You just meet me on the event on the day, and we'll see how it goes about it. So and that's when I started. For I think in January I started working on the artwork, and I had it completed well before the event actually took place. So I got it framed nicely and had it ready for the event. And that's when I was standing in the line, going to click a photo with Ole, and I met Steve and met Tilak there. So right about when it was my turn. Tilak was kind enough to actually talk to Ole and introduce Ole to me. Like, I would have never thought that was something that would ever happen. I mean, honestly, I still think about it that day and gives me chills, honestly. So he told Ole that apparently he had already told Ole that he has a few surprises lined up, and that's when he introduced me to Ole. And yeah, I've got a clip of the entire thing, thanks to a couple of friends who were kind enough to record me showing him the artwork.
That, if you don't mind, Shan, that clip we've actually got and would like to play, if you don't mind. Is that okay? So for the viewers that haven't seen this, it's an incredible moment. So yeah, we're going to play that video for you now, so you can get a kind of a snapshot as to how it went and how it felt.
At this point in time, I was just like, isn't that too much to ask of Ollie? Like, okay, you can just hand it over. But then I realized what he was doing. And more importantly, Ollie was super patient and super excited to see what was going to come across.
Thank you so much. Well done. Thank you. Thank you so much for this. I need that on the picture.
Yeah. Let's get it. Look at that.
Beautiful. Fair play.
Steve, that's what being a Man United fan's all about, isn't it? For that, you live those memories and stuff, don't you? It's those stories that you long to hear of other people meeting their idols, and that's incredible. And to give your own artwork to him as well, and for what you produced within a month, I'd never be able to do in a lifetime twice over. So honestly, Shan, you've got an absolute talent. Keep doing it. Keep pushing it. We'll do what we can from this side. Yeah, absolutely fantastic.
Thank you so much.
Done. Well done. Steve, can we touch upon your experience with your Jake and how it felt and what you felt like a fan going over there? Because you look like you were treated like royalty.
That's 100% correct. And do you know what? I'm still. I mean, we came. What day is it? I'm still stuck in days. You know, it's crazy. I think myself and Jake worked out over the 4 days we was over there, we had about 15 hours sleep, and I'm more than sure till I got a lot less than that. How you kept going with a smile on your face, I do not know. But I mean, for us, it was just being in that. I mean, I think location-wise for me, Bangalore the setting was stunning. The garden area where the meet and greet was done. You know, it was, and the timing of it, the sun was just setting, you know, and it was like unbelievable. And then, you know, the meeting Sean for the first time. I mean, he was in the queue to get his signature, and we sort of caught eyes with each other, and he just jumped out the queue, and I was like, oh my God, don't lose your place. But then the conversations afterwards, it was quite surreal, because before any of the events, myself and Jake were just sort of doing what we needed to, and then, but it was only after, because nobody obviously knew who he was, apart from the odd one or two, and then it was only after the event when we'd done our little bit, and initially we was quite nervous. We'd never done anything like that, certainly live in front of a big audience, but the reaction during our chat, but more so after the chat, where we've just got people thanking us, and it was like, wow, us just chatting away about Man United and everything we love. It just seemed to have such a I wouldn't say impact, but people they took into it. It was amazing. And afterwards, people just wanting to chat, whether it was about the Glazers and whatever it was about. And it was just so we went on and stayed as long as we could. But it was nice, because after the first night, we was totally different, I believe, on the second night, and then probably the third night, because we knew that it was kind of an acceptance. I mean, these people who's paid a hell of a lot of money to be there could have had, in the back of my mind, it could have been like, who the hell are these two idiots type of thing. But it was so far from that. It was just amazing. And then Bangalore, Mumbai for me was probably the craziest night. And it was, and then just spending a bit of downtime with Ollie and listening to himself. Andy Mitten was there for the second and third night. I mean, gosh, who that guy's not got in his phone is probably not worth knowing. The stories were just unreal. And there was one, Andy was actually interviewing Ollie for his pod in between him. And this is what Ollie was like. So he's signed 300 shirts. We're then having sort of a cup of coffee. Tilak's gone. He's doing everything he needs to do at 100 miles an hour and getting everything super organised. In that downtime of maybe half an hour, Andy's then done an interview with Ollie. And, the bloke never stopped. But we touched on, or he mentioned the Paris, the final, the European Cup game in Paris. And after he'd done the interview, Ollie just pulls his phone out and says, look at this. He's scrolling through all his stuff. And he shows us a video that he took in the dressing room with the players actually celebrating and going bananas. You've got Eric Bailly's just stood on the physio table, kicking all pizza boxes everywhere. And it was, he was just so, didn't have any issues sharing stuff. It was amazing. And it's, the catering that was put on, the food, everything was just absolute top notch. Again, I've said it a million times to that, but hats off to you, buddy, because it was absolutely amazing.
I'm not jealous in the slightest.
That's amazing. 3 times to do that in 3 different cities, 3 different teams, 3 complete different setups. Just mind blowing.
It's incredible, because when you break it down to such, even you were discussing earlier to with regards to even down to the finer details, it sounds like a lot of work goes in to these type of events, and to take on not 1 city but 2, then 3. You must have at some point thought, what have I done? What have I got myself into?
Not at some point, but at multiple points, because you're supposed to sell tickets in all those 3 cities, and obviously Man United fans were everywhere. But at the same time, an event like this, usually the precedence is set with the likes of I Love United events that come down, which is done by the club. It's a free screening. You come down, there's broadcasters are there, sponsors are there. But fans can literally walk into the park, and that's it. You're at a Man United event. And then all of a sudden, somebody else is coming over to you and telling you that, okay, this event's going to cost you starting from £100 and going up to £400 in, of course, local currency. And then there's a lot of apprehension. There are a lot of challenges. There are a lot of obstacles. And a majority of stuff like this functions or survives or thrives only on the basis of ticketing revenue. So, I mean, 3 cities. I don't know if I would suppose if I had to do this all over again. If I had to, I wouldn't pick 3 cities because it took a toll. Eventually, on the last day, I had sort of given up on what can happen on ground. Whatever might happen, I'll wing it. I'm the one who does the interview with Ollie at the end of the night, the unfiltered, unscripted interview, which is the highlight. Up until that time, I'll wing it, whatever comes up. But somehow, my team's dedication, the support from everyone else, Steve and Jake and Andy and Des and Ole, of course, what Steve mentioned about, he said no, not once. In fact, I eventually realized that he's not going to say no to anybody, and that I am his custodian, or I am. It's my responsibility to make sure that he doesn't feel at the end of the day or at the end of the tour that, okay, hang on a minute, that was too much. And I remember having this beautiful conversation with him in his hotel room in Delhi, which was the last night. And I asked him that, hey, how was the tour? Like, it's three days now. We've been together almost round the clock. How was it? And I broke down because mentally, I didn't know I had it in me to be able to do this, because when I started off, I'm like, oh yeah, sure, I can do this. And I've always been what some others might call delusional. I've always been very optimistic about things in life, like being a United fan these days. So I was like, oh yeah, I can do this. I can do 3 cities. I can bring down Ole Gunnar Solskjaer to India for an event that's never happened before. And while all of that has happened, it has definitely taken a toll. And so when I was chatting with Ollie that night, and he told me that it couldn't have gone any better, my friend Jim and I were so happy, we're so grateful. He mentioned quite openly in one of the interviews with the press, where he just said that we're here to come to visit a country, a part of the world which we've never been here before. It's just an adventure for us. And then, while that was his starting point, and not in a bad way, of course, in a way that I'm going to witness something new, till the end, where it was a lot more emotional, where he's like, thank you for looking after us. Same. And I wanted to make this like a statement. I do not, unfortunately, again, it's nothing against anyone in specific. I do not like the light in which India is portrayed for so many events that happen over here. Where, say, for example, again, nobody can be offended by it, but Evra was here 2 weeks ago, and all you see in his social media content, all that you see in his posts is stuff which is India, but that's not only what is in India. There is a lot more to offer, which somehow does not encapsulate, or maybe it's just that idea where you want to capture something which is different from your countries, but that's not the case. And so, yeah, that was the vision, to be able to do that. And so when Ollie said what he did that night, I think in a total of this entire duration of this tour, I cried, and not that I cry otherwise too often, but I do at times, I guess. I cried 3 times. Number one was when in Bangalore on the first night, we had a sand artist. I think, or I have a. You know what? We're gonna play a video right now. Can I do that? We can, right? Like from my phone. No need of sharing the screen or anything. Is that okay?
I can't.
Like a 30-second video. Do
you can hold it if you hold it up to this.
Oh yeah, I can do that. Yeah.
There.
So this was my first. It's actually special because Andy just sent this video to me earlier this evening, and this is the interview that Steve was speaking about. So I'm gonna play the audio. Just one moment. Can you guys hear it as of now? Briefly.
Yeah, just about.
Yeah.
About. Okay. Perfect. Ignore what's going on. Just one moment.
We can't actually hear it very well, all right, buddy?
No, Tilak, do you want to
Fair enough. I can mention that. So anyway, this is what the video is like. Yeah, they both are chatting, and Andy asks him, what's been how's the tour been so far? And Ollie speaks about so many things, and one of the things he speaks about is the sand artist. So we had a sand artist in real time in sand with sand portraying Ollie's life, not just at Man United, but from the time he was born. And in my head, the time when I started working on this event, which was 8 months ago, okay, at 7 p.m., the sand artist comes on. This is what we kickstart the show with. And I would have said that a million times to sponsors, venues, ticket holders, PR, everybody. And then when he actually came on for the first time at 7 p.m. in Bangalore, and when the video started, and I, of course, knew what was going to happen, but Ollie was right next to me. And I don't think it's right for me to say, but he almost had a tear. And it was such an emotional moment because he didn't come to India with any sort of expectations of being met with this. He just thought it's going to be fans, interactions, interviews, and you're out. That was number one. Seeing him that way, I lost because I remember I've done this as a fan. I've not done this as a promoter. Because of which it had so much more on the line for me. The second time was when we walked out of the airport in Mumbai. I think you guys, everybody's seen that. That was right out of Trafford and that was right out of the TRA. And the last one was the third night in Delhi. So I've actually cried every day of the tour in a way, if you go to see. The last one was in Delhi, in that, and we had we had an incredible moment. Again, it wasn't something that he needed to tell me. He could have just said, "Yeah, thank you so much," and that was the end of it. But I don't know if you can see. At least I'm all teared up, teary-eyed. Anyway, so
you've got
incredible,
so many memories
incredible
now,
human.
Steve, you've got memories for a lifetime that will last, obviously, and Jake as well, and Shan. It's such an amazing story. How it came about and what you've got now, you'll never lose. You'll never lose those memories. No matter without merchandise or whatnot, it's up here. It's all the experience that no fan in the UK would possibly get anywhere near to, obviously, other than Steve. It's just an incredible thing you've pulled off. It's just we were certainly myself was watching the clips and all the footage back on social media when it was happening. I was just gobsmacked because you don't get that sort of thing in this country. And this is the kind of conversation I want to have with Steve more so because how do you envisage our fan base in the UK now, Steve, compared to what you've seen internationally?
We're all the same. You know, we all love Man United, and there's, I think, sadly, on social media, there's a lot of stuff that's agenda driven, and I think what people need to realize is that social media isn't the real world. The real world is meeting Tilak on a absolute sodden night after a protest, and the weather was revolting. And that was just, I don't know if you remember, Tilak, we literally finished the protest outside the megastore, and I said, "Well,
I remember."
Yeah, and you literally came over. I think we shook hands, quick hug, and that's the first time we'd met each other. And then fast forward now, all this has just happened. But everybody, I think for me, everybody loves Man United with the same amount of passion. The only difference is when you started supporting them. Yeah. But if you know, like Shani supported them, you know, a lot less than what I have. But you tell me when that boy, the smile that he's got on his face now, when, you know, and after the event, Shan, we had a great conversation. We had pictures, you know, they're just memories that, you know, we've all experienced that together. And, you know, I've made promises to speaking to the official supporters clubs. I have every intention of just going back over, certainly to Mumbai, or anywhere that'll have us. But I want to go back over there and watch a game with those guys and experience it with them. I want the experience the other way around. I mean, I know some of the Mumbai Reds that are coming over to the Liverpool game, and we're already in contact. But I think what this has done for me personally, it's opened doors to like-minded people. The only difference is we're 5,000 miles apart. But, you know, I suppose the plus side to social media is that can bring everybody together. But, you know, when anybody from over there comes over here, I will happily meet up. You know, if you want to go to some of the pubs you know, whatever you want to do, I'll happily help out. And likewise, I equally as keen to go back over there and experience it with these guys and experience what they do firsthand. So it's, you know, I think the whole thing's worked great for everybody.
Yeah. I couldn't find the words. I can't find the words now. It was just It's incredible. So fascinating. I wish I had all night and all morning to talk about this. But we've reached out to a fellow Indian fan that follows us on our social pages. His name's Ibrahim, and he wants to give a bit of a testimonial. So I hope he's watching. But we asked him what his view on being an Indian supporter, an Indian United supporter. His answer was, I honestly believe that we are at the same level as any fans living in Manchester. We share the same love and affection towards the club. I will say every fan is at the same level. We are a global United family. In a nutshell, he's spot on. And that's where it sometimes gets missed over social media. So we kind of moved on to asking what time do you get up and the sacrifices you make, the stuff that we touched upon earlier. To a certain extent, his answer was, it is more challenging for someone living in an entirely different time zone. It becomes hard to adjust, various other things, but no complaints. However, specifically talking about India, it is not that bad as compared to few other Southeast Asian countries or Australia, where the majority of the kickoff timing is post 3 or 5 a.m. in the morning. And for us, Premier League games are usually between 6 and 11, which is what we touched upon earlier. So the major sacrifice for him was sleep, and then he has to go to work and college. Now, he was there at the Ole experience. He said it was exceptional to start with. Full credit to Tilak for organising it beautifully. On Ole, he's certainly a household name, at least for the 90s generation. United in general has a large fan base here, thanks to Ferguson's Red Army and the aura it had during the Ruud van Nistelrooy, Beckham, Scholes eras and the Ronaldo eras. Despite the performance in the last decade or so, the fan base keeps on growing. So it's touched upon the Ole event. He says, coming to the Ole event, I had my expectations, but it surpassed it all. We were in numbers at Mumbai Airport, and Ole made sure he acknowledged each and every fan with a sign, a signature or a photo at times, both, as if he wanted to give back the love he received all these years. It was refreshing and overwhelming to see at the same time. I think we all had tears or two, considering our hero lived up to the expectation. We will never forget it. Even during the main events, he was having the conversation with as many fans as possible, meaningfully, and not just for the sake of it.
Yeah.
Tilak, you're my hero. You've made people's dreams come true.
This is the 4th time I might cry in the last 5 days now, thanks to you guys. Again, as I said, sorry, go on. Yeah, no,
I don't mean to sound offensive here, but I just don't think you understand the magnitude of what you've achieved fully.
I probably don't. You're right. Yeah, I probably don't. Not yet. Maybe I do soon. Hopefully, I do soon enough.
Yeah. It's lovely to hear fans' views of it as well. Like such as that people actually went, and I'm quite jealous I didn't actually get to go. But next time, brother. Next time.
You just stole my line, Phil. Like, I just want to know, when can we go to Bangalore? Like, I've watched the videos. I told Tilak this before. I've watched the videos, man. Steve, when are we going? Sign me up. Sign me up.
I'll tell you one thing. If nothing else, other than Ollie, probably some of the most entertaining parts of the whole journey was the taxi drives from the airport to the hotel. Like, oh my God, absolute carnage. But in a funny kind of way. And even, the taxi driver we had from it was the Mumbai, when we got to Mumbai, it was every street, every corner. We was getting a load. We was getting a guided tour while we was going. The guy didn't even need to. There was no need. And that, from my experience being in India, that is what Indian people are great for. They're so humble and just welcoming. It was kind of, it took me aback. Even from a personal point of view, the way myself and Jake got welcomed were relatively unknown to the majority of people, though. But the respect and appreciation for us just waffling on for 10, 15 minutes went down like, it was amazing, absolutely amazing. And then for me, and I'm not taking the limelight away from Tilak here, but the people of India, the audiences, the people at the airports, that's what made it for me. Now I'm sort of coming back down to earth. These are the memories that are going to stick in my mind. I mean, coming out at Mumbai, it was like, I'm not joking, it was like the scenes at a fucking Beatles concert. Do you know what I mean? There was it was chaos. And I was just like, what the actual life, I was going, because we didn't witness it at Bangalore because we arrived 5 hours early, and it was probably more important for us to try and catch a couple of hours sleep. But it was, then when we got to Mumbai, it was like, what? But even the organisation there, they had all the security fencing. Ollie was one side, the fans were the other. He just went down the row, and as everybody said, I think if Tilak hadn't wound him in, he'd probably still be there now signing autographs, because he would not have stopped, would he? He absolutely wouldn't. But yeah, it was absolutely, well, it's just magical, absolutely magical.
And because Ollie was that nice to everyone, to all the fans, he was the good cop. I had to be the bad cop, and not out of any other reason, because we had like a timeline to keep up with. But yeah, no, sorry.
Yeah, wow, some great stories, and like I said, I just wish we could sit here all night and chat about it. But Tilak, obviously, I know you come to games, so next time you're over and you come to a game, please, Steve, give me a shout, and I'll come and have a drink with you, or meet up. And Shan, if you ever have plans to come over to the UK, you're more than welcome. But myself, Steve, we'll sort you out with a ticket, and
for sure.
Yeah, we'll accommodate you. We'd love to have you, to welcome you over in the UK
soon,
to the
soon,
United
hopefully.
game.
Yep.
So to wrap things up, because obviously I know it's quite late for you guys over there, and Tilak, I think you need some sleep. You still got some sleep to catch up on. We, from the Mag 24/7, we want to run a kind of competition for our Indian followers and the viewers tonight, where Benno will explain it, but you've got an opportunity to win a signed shirt from this. Not a signed shirt, sorry, we're not as good as Tilak. But Benno, over to you. Yeah, you can win a home shirt and personalised with any name and number that you like. So Benno, over to you.
Yeah, of course. So the idea of this one is, again, we know kind of the cricket link over in India as well. So I'm going to go when the slide comes up, so I can actually read the question out fully. And basically, it's something for some of you guys to have a think about. And like I say, being with a chance of winning. Anyone that wants to get involved, please drop a comment, and we'll give you the choice. So, which former Man United player does this quote relate to from England cricketing legend Andrew Freddie Flintoff? I played junior cricket with said player. He was a year older than me, and he was a cricketing genius. If that lad would have carried on playing cricket, he could have been England's Ricky Ponting or Sachin Tendulkar. He was that good. He got offered a contract for £2,500 a year to play for Lancashire, but instead chose Manchester United. And we've narrowed it down, give a bit of multiple choice for you. So you've got A, Gary Neville, B, Nicky Butt, or C, Phil Neville. This is open to everybody. Drop your answer in the comments, and we'll pick a winner at random. And good luck to everyone that gets involved.
We'll announce that tomorrow morning, UK time, and then we'll arrange that shirt to be posted out to you with any printing on the back, whatever you choose. So get your comments in. You've got a chance to win a shirt here. But I think we've heard some brilliant stories tonight from Tilak especially, and Shan with his experience meeting Ole in the overall event, and Steve being the UK representative. Tilak, such an amazing event. Well done. Can't wait for the next one, but have a little break beforehand. And thank you so much for coming onto the podcast and telling your stories, because we are really honoured to have you on today.
Yeah.
My pleasure, gentlemen. Thank you so much for having us. And whenever the next show is, I'm already excited for it. It's a bit scary as well. I am a bit tired, but we didn't get this far to only get this far. So whenever that might be, it'll be exciting. It'll be well worth the wait. Thank you.
Fantastic.
The Mag Tour to Mumbai sounds good, baby. It sounds good.
Yeah.
It sounds good to me.
I'm saying, who's stopping us? We can do something around this for sure. I'm confident.
Let's do it.
Let's see. I am confident we want to do another tour. Ideally this year, but let's see how this 1 month goes for me personally. But if not, definitely 2025. And I want to maintain that level and that league that I'm trying to set up over here, where it is Ole Gunnar Solskjaer or people who are, what's the right way to say it? People who are red through and through. Or what Steve mentioned, Ole is actually a fan first. He's a Man United fan in the very first place. Then he was a player, and then he was a manager, and then he was somebody who came down to India. But what he was first was, and that's what allows us to, really create conversations and experiences around the visit. Fingers crossed. I'm sure whenever we announce the next tour in India, I hope you guys, but everyone else in the UK, in India, is more excited and more eager in anticipation of what we want to. We're changing things up over here. It's never happened before in India. Maybe it might happen after this, if not with me. But as far as it keeps happening, it doesn't matter if it's me or somebody else. If it's Sean as well, that's fine. As far as we keep doing it, because Indian Manchester United fans deserve this.
Absolutely.
Yeah, keep doing what you're doing. Keep doing what we're doing. Absolutely fantastic. But on that note, I think it's time we wrap this up, and obviously let the Indian boys go back to bed, or go to get some well-deserved sleep if they can shut their eyes without dreaming. But honestly, thank you. It's been an honour to host you all. I've been your host, Phil. Thank you to Shan, Steve, and Tilak, and obviously my panel, Daza and Benno. It's been an absolute honour and a pleasure. Good night. God bless.
Thank you all.
Thank you all. Good to see you. Have a nice
Thank
day.
you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Sports Social Podcast Network.